I went to bed and was awakened by a friend around 11:30 who told us that the fire was coming up our hill.
My oldest daughter, she called us about 11:40 at night and said, "You guys are under evacuation. You guys better pack up." I'm going, "What? It's way out there." And she says, "No, I heard the command call dispatch saying, issue a level 3 evacuation all the way to Mahama."
When we left at midnight, trees were already falling down.
We loaded everything up, and about 12:15, right around that time, is when we got the official notification, "You're to go, leave."
The fire was right below our property, and as we left there was fire on both sides of the road as we left.
We grabbed some important papers. My wife grabbed up the photo albums. We grabbed annals that we had. And as we're driving out, look back and say, well, it's only things.
There are a lot of risk factors in the Santiam Canyon that are definitely a factor in the level of risk here. One just being the topography of the canyon itself funneling some of the east wind events that we get, and also the steep topography here. There's also a significant amount of wildland-urban interface areas, lots of small towns, lots of infrastructure surrounded by forest land, both industrial, private and state forests, federal forests. So all those factors really come into play. And then also looking at the ability to evacuate the canyon in the event of a crisis. Highway 22 is a really popular travel corridor, so it's very busy, but it's also the one main route in and out of the canyon. And so it's really critical to reduce those risk levels as much as possible while maintaining the safety of everyone that wants to live here.
I saw that there was a wildland ladder fuels program being offered through the state of Oregon Forestry Department, and trying to mitigate problems before they happen. And it was a grant where they'd come out, they'd walk you through and say, what do you need to do?
There's multiple different funding sources, but Western States Fire Managers is a really common grant source, and it's a federal grant source. And once we're awarded those funds, then we can follow some of their guidelines and get that money dispersed where it's needed.
KJ had I think it was in the post office, had a flyer up about grants that would help pay for the costs, making a defensible space around your house. And so I thought, well, that sounds great. So anyway, that's what we did. That's
when KJ came out from Forestry Department and said, okay, well, let's take a look. Well, we're not going to be able to put what you've already cleared off on, but boy, does that look good, So if you do that over here, you'll be great.
So for this grant, it was the maximum award amount for this project, $300,000, and then the project area was the entire Santiam Canyon, so basically Lyons and east, all the way up to Marion Forks.
We walked around and she explained the things that we could do just immediately without really incurring any costs to improve our chances in a fire, and explained what the grant would pay for. And then we signed a contract, and it gives you a timeline or a deadline.
I went mowing down and we cleared out the brush and we cleared out trees right along the fence line, pulled it out, got up to the area that we had talked about in our grant, the plan, and came back across this way, pulling out trees and cutting things down and mowing behind, making sure that it's down.
I did all of the work myself. However, I bought a pole saw and a chipper. You know, it helped pay for the things that helped me do the work.
We kept looking, going, gosh, this is starting to look like a park almost, you know? So we knew we were improving the value of the property. We knew we were protecting the property from possible wildfire.
I just started working in a small area, and I just kept working, and before you know it, you'd had an area cleared and it looked good, and that was motivating, and you just keep doing it.
We're done. We're done with the plan. So we let her know, and she came out, and KJ paid us a compliment. She said, if only half of the people who were doing this would do this as good as you, my goodness gracious, this is textbook. I mean, this is the way we really want to see it.
The Santiam Canyon is one that I've continued to pursue funding for over and over since I started. It's definitely a very high need within the state.
Start from the house and work out. Get that 30 foot where the trees aren't over and you don't have it. Get that 100 foot. Work on that, and then start working further out. Then you're at least making steps towards being more fire safe.
Even when you hear about fires all over the Pacific Northwest, the chance of them hitting one spot, you know, on the map is actually low. I'm thinking a little differently now, but because all of Oregon seems to have gotten hit.
If you live in the interface, to protect your home and not have to worry, it is well worth the effort to get that assistance in whether you can do it or whether somebody else, you have to hire somebody to come out.
We have a higher percentage of retired folks, folks on disability. So there's definitely a desire here to increase safety, reduce wildfire risk, and have the resources to do it.
Being pushed to get that done, I knew that our house was still standing because of that. My neighbor to the west of me came up after the fires and said, thank you for all the work that you did, because you saved my house too. So what we do affects others.